unstoppable kick-ass confidence. Are you ready?
Welcome to the Raw and Unscripted Show with Christopher Rausch, where we help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. Now please welcome our host, Christopher Rausch.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Raw and Unscripted Show with yours truly, Mr. Christopher Rausch, the No Excuses Coach. And you're at your place where we help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. So thank you guys for joining us, whether you're live on the video cast, as we do every single Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for those of you guys who stay up late. We do it live, and the reason why we do it live is it's kind of exciting to have the interaction of the people who are watching and asking questions and interacting with me live. It's something that I've done for a while since I started the show. I used to be on a podcasting network where there was like a TV show, and we had slotted times, and that's what actually came out is this became an audio podcast out of a video podcast, which is the truth. And we've been here for 6.5 years, ladies and gentlemen. This is episode number 328. And I'm super, super proud of that. The consistency, the effort, the people, and the subjects that we have had in this conversation on this show. We've done men's mental health, women's mental health. We have done a super huge range of topics and guests. So I encourage you to go back into the catalog and check it out, because I can promise you this: if money and finances are tight and you want a coach and you would love to have me as your coach, the next best thing, I swear to God, and this is the truth, this is why I did this, was people like, I can't afford to work with you, Chris. Go watch my YouTube videos. I just hit over 1,000 videos on my YouTube channel. So there are short videos, long videos, me in videos with my suit and tie on, no bandana, doing the triangular pose and making people laugh from stage. There are a ton of videos on there. There are these video casts on there. So go back and check out some early ones, and you can see me before the studio got all kind of set up. You can see me how I started, right? 6 years ago, as I was preparing for this particular show. And tonight we're talking about the questions that you guys send in. We get a ton of questions on the audio podcast. So people send us questions all the time. They send us messages, info@noexcusescoach.com, info@noexcusescoach.com. As always, keep it, send us comments, send us letters, send us whatever it is, and we'll make sure it gets addressed here. So I collect those questions, and every once in a while I do these shows, which is really, really fun. And the reason why it's fun is I get to serve you immediately in what I can answer and hopefully impact with you. Again, if finances are tough, listen to me, watch me, and take, if nothing else, one strategy every single week and implement that. Think about this. How much different will your life be in 12 weeks, right? 12 weeks flies by like that. It's going to be Halloween. It's going to be Christmas. We're going to be like, oh my God, 2025 is already over. It's 2026. Oh my God, I can't believe it. But you got to take action. And so in tonight's episode, I'm going to be answering some really, really good questions. But as I was preparing for it, I looked back and I thought, okay, I've done a couple of episodes already this year that I want to highlight for you. And one of the suggestions that I got from people was, when you do shows and you're talking about content that you've already done, can you tell us what show numbers are? Can you tell us the dates? Can you tell us that so we can go back and listen to that? And I apologize. I've done a shitty job of that. I mean, there are tons of ways for me to cross-reference my show. So I'm going to do that right now, just this year. And a lot of the questions that have come in recently are about being stuck, about being mentally stuck, physically stuck. I just don't know what to do, clarity issues, things of that nature. So I want to share with you guys podcast 317, which I did on May 20th of this year, is called Getting Unstuck. So it's episode number 317. It's a solo show. It's just me talking about getting unstuck and giving you ways and strategies to do that. Podcast 324, I entitled it something like a mid-year reset. So that's from July 8th. So it's in the title also about feeling stuck. So a lot of people are feeling like this. They're self-imposed stuck. They're stuck based on their financial or their situational circumstances, but people are feeling stuck. So there you have it, 317 and 324. That's easy if you listen on the audio podcast, because you can just go and your favorite audio podcast player and find the show number and click it. Shows where I've answered questions before, and you guys asked me about this, like, Chris, what shows should I watch of you to get the most value? And I'm like, fuck, the ones where I answer questions specifically. So episode 316, we did that, which was 5/25 of this year, May 2025. We did episode 290, which I did in November of 2024. We did episode 203, which I did in March of 2023, and we did episode number 62 in July of 2020. So I've done this pretty consistently. I've done it a little bit more recently because, again, it's providing you guys that value, being able to give you those answers so that you go take action, because it's nothing. It's nothing for me to sit here and get you all inspired and go, I'm like, fucking Chris, that was a great show. That was so inspiring. You were so revved up. And man, I just love this and I love that. And it's like, okay, did you go apply it? Are you applying it? Because what I would love to see is emails, info@noexcusescoach.com. or any way you want to get a hold of me. I would love to see emails saying, hey, Chris, you gave me 3 strategies in the last 6 months that I've really applied, and here are the results that I'm seeing. I would love to see that and be able to share those here on the show as well, because it's one big happy family. We're all here learning and growing. I learn and grow every single week. So I was excited to see the questions that we were able to bring on the show right now. So we got a couple of cool things. We got one question that was actually really kind of different than I normally get. So I'm going to answer that one as well. So thank you for that. Thank you for everybody, again, listening and watching, all you beautiful souls, and sent me messages. There was a ton of private messages on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. I got questions all over the place, professional questions. So we're going to be going into that. So again, write these things down. And because whether you asked a question or not, I can pretty much guarantee you that there is going to be a few things tonight that are going to speak to you. And they've probably been said by me or somebody else over the years, but hopefully tonight you're in a position where you're receptive, right? How about opening your brain and your mind right now to say, you know what Chris says tonight, I'm going to be receptive to this. I'm going to take action on this. I'm going to get out a pen and paper. I'm going to get out my cell phone. I'm going to pull over and park in a parking lot for the next 45 minutes and listen to this and really digest this and really fucking take action on this, so that I don't die with regrets and feel like I wasted my time hoping, wishing, and praying that something was going to change, when realistically it was just a matter of what I need to change. So what's up? We have Dennis Nermel in the house. What's up? 10 a.m. Beijing time. Thank you so much for being here. We got somebody from China in the house. Thank you, Dennis. I'm looking forward to checking out your book and having Dennis here on the show. Robert Brooker in the house. What's up? Mr. Robert. Susan Day in the house. Hello, Susan. So good to see you. Appreciate you. People are just saying their highs and their pleasantries. So let's get into this. Let's get into the first question. I want to get straight into this. So this, and what I'm gonna do is, I literally got lots of questions. So some of them I'm gonna be able to answer tonight, and then also I'll do another future episode of that. So stay tuned for that. But we got a ton of questions, and what I tried to do was say, okay, what are people really asking? What are people asking about clarity? What are they asking about imposter syndrome? How are they asking about fears? What are the mistakes and all these different things and how they tie together? So some of the questions I may have rephrased a little bit so that it incorporates a couple of different questions, if you know what I mean. And my answers also with that too. And just to let you know, this is raw and unscripted. Sometimes I do completely raw and unscripted shows. Sometimes I just show up here and I don't even think about it, and I just allow what's going to happen to take place. And that's a beautiful thing. And oftentimes it's a beautiful conversation that I didn't even know was going to happen. And then there's also times like this where I sit down and I'm very intentional about the answers, because you guys are asking me these questions, and I take that seriously as though I was your coach, as if we were in a coaching session. One of the things I do with my one-on-one clients is they come to me in the session and they ask me questions like, Chris, I faced this week. What would you have done? Chris, I'm going to face this next week. How would you approach this? What suggestions? So I'm always there to answer those questions all throughout the week. So I love being able to do this and being able to be a little bit more intentional. So I just wanted to share that with you as well. So sometimes things are actually planned out a little bit. So this question is a 2-part question. It says, where do I start? There's so much going on and I'm barely hanging on. And that was a common thread with a lot of people thinking about overwhelm and thinking about just being stuck and just allowing the monkey mind to overtake you. And I'm going to share some kind of philosophical stuff with you that's helped me with a monkey mind. And here it is in simple terms. You are not your thoughts. Right. So when you think your brain is going crazy and you're like, all these different things are popping into your brain, here's a simple way that you could just really interrupt it. And we could go into a whole thing about this. Is you just got to sit there and say, that's interesting. Wow. Where did that come from? Wow. That's interesting. I'm going to go ahead and continue to think the positive aspect of this rather than the negative aspect. Because oftentimes my brain will go dark. Something will pop into my brain. I'm just like, where in the fuck did that come from? Jesus Christ, like sicko. And so I have to stop and go, wow, that was entertaining. Geez, I'm going to go back to my regular schedule program where I'm focusing on this, right? So I kind of make it fun in my brain and I sit there, but I'll sit there and I'll stop and I'll play ping pong with it a little bit, because we're the observer of what's going on. So if you're able to sit there and go, wow, that was an interesting thought, who is that saying that, right? And at a deeper level, just to keep it simple, I believe that's our soul. That's our soul speaking. We've got our brain talking and communicating and electricity going on, but our soul is the one that has that whisper. Hey, Chris, don't make a right turn here. Hey, Chris, go to the wind chills. Hey, Chris, all those different things. Hey, Chris, it's okay if you leave it 5 minutes later, right? You leave 5 minutes later and you find out you miss an accident. Everything does happen for a reason. I truly believe that. And so when you think about this question, where do I start? And there's just so much and I'm barely hanging on. The first thing that I think about is what we tolerate. And I see that so much in my clients, right? You don't realize that you're doing it. You don't realize that you're hanging on to something, or there's bitterness in all these little things in your life. And, people have asked me over the years, about my pain, my back pain. And I'm like, it's not the pain that bugs me. It's not that I can deal with the pain. That's just one aspect of it. It's the annoyance factor. It's that I'm constantly annoyed. I'm uncomfortable. I'm frustrated. I can't do what I want to do. I'm telling my body to do this, but it's coming back with these signals. And so I have to sit there and I have to recalibrate my brain around that. Right. And you think about that. You have to sit there and you have to think about putting it in perspective of, I'm trying to say this differently. I just got distracted by something that was on my screen. It's really about what we're going to tolerate. And let me just get back to that because I don't want to get off on a sidetrack. So what behaviors and what actions am I tolerating? Right. And what are you allowing things to take your breath away in terms of frustration and gasp? I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. And oftentimes we make things into bigger dramas than they really are. So when you think about you have so much going on in your life, one of the things I want to look at is the tolerations and what are you tolerating from yourself? And be honest, do you dramatize things a lot, right? Do you create something out of nothing? Do you create a mountain out of a molehill, right? And you have to be honest with yourself and go ask 3 of your friends and be honest with them. Say, hey, I'm doing some deep diving right now on my personality and the things that I might be being fucked up on. And, do you see this in me? Do you see this in me? Because people will be honest. People be honest. And you got to sit there and you got to think about this. You got to think about the responsibility that you're going to take when you get honest with yourself. And if you build things up, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. I know somebody, I don't think she listens to the podcast, but I'm not going to say her name. We'll just say her name's Julie. And Julie dramatizes everything. Oh my God, you wouldn't believe this. And oh my God. And oh my God. How is it working for you? Creating so much drama and electricity and giving so much energy to this negative shit. How is that working out for you? And it's not, because Julie has a ton of medical problems, a lot of physical problems, a hypochondriac, all sorts of things, and then not serving her. And she's so frustrated with her life. She goes, Chris, tell me what to do. Chris, tell me what to do. And I said, you need to change the conversation you're having with yourself. You need to change the story you are telling yourself about your life. It is not all drama. It is not all happening, to you and at you. And oh my God, I can't believe this happened again. My wife and I just went through a couple of things this last couple of weeks, financial things, big things, frustrating, inconveniences, all that stuff. And I reminded my wife that she was telling me a story recently about somebody she followed on TikTok that passed away from cancer, was young. I see a ton of that in people that are celebrities, people I follow, or just, people are dying and they're getting sick. I know a Facebook friend, he was posted that he had stage 4 cancer, and he's like, I'm going to beat it and I'm going to do this holistic stuff. And he was posting all this stuff, and I just found out he's dead. He got diagnosed in April. He's dead now in August. Right. So time changes and things happen, and so the ultimate thing is that we have to take that responsibility for ourselves, and we have to do it in comparison and think, okay, is this cancer? Is this life or death? Is this going to kill me, or is this an opportunity for me to become stronger? And you gotta face that in the mirror. You gotta face that responsibility. You gotta sit there and ask yourself, what am I running from? And the best thing you can do is just write down your tolerations. What are you tolerating from yourself? I tolerate the fact that I do tend to over dramatize things. All right. So what would it be like if you didn't do that anymore? What would it be like if you put a rubber band around your wrist and every time you over dramatize something, you stop and you snap it? You go, you know what? What's a different story that I can tell myself about this? You know what? It's really not that bad. I told my wife, I said, yeah, it's money out of our pocket, but wow, we get a new ice maker. How can we look at this cooler? Oh, now we get to reorganize our refrigerator a little bit differently. We got an extra tray. Oh my God, how cool is that? We get to clean underneath the refrigerator. Oh, this one's a little bit bigger. What can you look at the positives aspects of it? Because it is what it is. Right? At the end of the day, the refrigerator fucking crapped out. It is what it is. We called a repairman and they didn't tell us all the details, and they came out there and said, oh, we can't fix that. And we told you that's what it was. And we're like, I know, but we can't do it. It's all this fucking bullshit. Don't get me started. So we have to look at what it is that we're tolerating. And the way I look at it also is like, what self-inflicted chaos? What self-inflicted chaos? And also, when you look at that, the toleration of your behavior over dramatizing things is one thing, but also look at it. What are you tolerating from other people? So in this case, I know somebody who knows Julie. I'm not the direct contact for Julie. So I was working with this person because they were like, oh my God, this person is draining me, right? We hear about vampires, energy vampires. This person's draining me. And I'm like, why do you allow that to happen? And oftentimes I hear, well, Chris, they don't have anybody else, or, oh, I feel bad for them, or, it's the least I could do. And, oh yeah, I can just continue to be the carpet that everybody walks on. Right. And I ask people, when did it be okay to be stepped on all the time? When did it become okay? When did it become acceptable to be taken advantage from? When did it become acceptable to pick up the phone and listen to somebody bitch about their lives for 2 hours, not do shit, fuck all about it, and then call you in 2 weeks and still bitch about the same shit? And you take that phone call and you say, yeah. You know what I would do? And they go, yeah. But that's not going to work. That's not going to work. And here's the 7 reasons why it's not going to work. Like, okay, then you know what? I have to let you go. Yeah. I'm no longer going to have you in my life. And you got to be honest with that person. Like, hey, listen, I have not been the greatest friend. I'm going to own this. I have not been the greatest friend. And I need to be super honest with you. And this is going to hurt your feelings, but in hurting your feelings, I hope that you accept responsibility for this and that you could become more aware of it, because nobody's doing you justice by not telling you. And I'm sure you got people in your life that think this, that haven't said anything, and they're frustrated. So I'm going to be the person that loves you the most to be able to tell you this. Is that okay? And you can have that conversation with people. And I have taught my coaching clients how to have that exact conversation and doing role playing with people. I'm like, oh my God, that's so uncomfortable. I can't imagine my saying this. I can't say that. I'm like, okay, then keep doing what you're doing. But I can't, Chris. I'm like, okay, then write that different story. What am I going to do to write that different story about how I'm barely hanging on? Right? When I talk to people who are barely hanging on, I'm like, what's the couple of things that you could do? And they often tell me things that are really realistic. And I'm like, okay, is that realistic on a scale of 1 to 10 being 10? Like, yeah. I'm like, okay, what's stopping you from doing it? I just need to do it. And that's what most people say. I just need to do it. I'm like, okay, well then put it on the calendar. Right? Put it on the calendar. You can't ignore that. If you keep a doctor calendar, you keep an awards benefit for your kid calendar, then you keep a calendar for yourself, right? So also when we're in those moments of chaos and we're in those moments of drama and we're tolerating so much other stuff, it comes back to the 3 responses that we were innately ingrained with, which is fight, flight, or freeze. Fight, flight, or freeze. When we think about that, sometimes we freeze and we're like, well, Chris, how do I freeze? Like, you get distracted by your short-term gratifications. You're sitting there scrolling, right? I ask people, like, show me your phone and show me how many hours and minutes that you're spending on your phone. Okay, let me check your apps that you're spending all that time on. And I do that with my coaching clients. I'm like, show me on Zoom, like, show me where you're spending your time at. Guess what? When they're held accountable, guess what? Their numbers start to change. And you know what else starts to change? Their outcomes and their attitudes and their realizations of, like, Chris, I didn't realize how much I spent on shit that did not move me forward. So here's a big thing for you guys. Have needle movers. What's a needle mover, Chris? A needle mover is something that moves the needle on your health, your finances, your relationships, your career, your business, whatever it is that's firing you up in the world, whatever it is that you need to work on, right? What's the needle mover? For me, I do a needle mover every single day. Pretty much. I'm not perfect about it. And the way I do it is again, if you're not, haven't been listening to me, go look at my time management podcast and you can sit there and find out that I use a calendar, and I will color code my appointments in my calendar so that I see red, and that's the needle mover for the day. And so I can look ahead a couple of days and go, I've got a couple of needle movers. I need to start mentally preparing myself. And how can I do that? I can visualize myself doing and accomplishing those needle movers, those often uncomfortable things that I don't really want to do. Like, I got to call a mobile mechanic to fix my RV trailer outside. First for fucking world problems, but I don't feel like dealing with it because I know it's going to be a pain in the ass. And I have to fucking realize if I trust the person and what they're saying, and then I have to go do a bunch of research. And it's easier if I just don't deal with it and I do it at the last minute, so I can be really frustrated and pissed off about it because I did it to myself again, because I procrastinated when something I knew I needed to do. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. So again, think about this, right? It is what it is. Whatever situation you're in, whether it's the relationship, whether it's the business, whether it's the health, it is what it is. I'm aware of the situation. I accept responsibility for it. Then I take action. Okay. Here we go again. And feel free, you guys watching this, feel free to ask any questions in the comments and engage with me on this. What would you do? What advice would you give to somebody that says they're just barely hanging on, right? Take a look at what you're accepting responsibility for. Look at what you're tolerating. And when you look at what you're tolerating and you list it out in front of yourself and you decide that you're no longer going to tolerate a third of those things, and guess what? You start taking action on it. You start building your confidence. All that shit starts to shift. Is it perfect? Is it easy? No. But is it worth it? Yes. Question number 2, how do I stop wanting everything to be just right or perfect? Again, a very pervasive question or innuendo of what people were asking. So again, how do I stop wanting everything to be just right and just perfect? So here's my first question to you, right? We all deal with perfection. Oh, it's got to be just right. It's got to be just perfect. And we could go into the psychology of that big time. And I'll let you do that on your own. So when we think that, okay, here's the question that I'm going to ask myself. Where did I get the idea that perfect is achievable? Who in my life, who's the one person in my life that perhaps I have felt that I needed to be perfect for? My mother, my grandmother, my teacher, my band instructor, my brother, my sister, my best friend, whoever it might be, and also yourself. You're okay. So myself, okay, why do I feel that I need to be perfect? Where do I get that need from? Because as kids, as babies, as organic little babies, we don't have that. We develop that based on our beliefs, and our beliefs are based on the experiences that we have and the feelings that we associate with that. So if I believe that I can't do something without it being perfect, often comes from a failure or a mistake or somebody who has put some shit into your brain that says it's got to be perfect. And most likely it's your parents or it's your perception of things. So where did you get that? And it's really important that you dig deep on this and you ask yourself, like, why do I feel like it has to be perfect? Am I saying it needs to be perfect in terms of procrastinating, right? What's the bigger reason why I'm saying it needs to be perfect? And what would it be like if I didn't think it needed to be perfect, right? When you're sitting there going through, it's like, oh, I'm obsessing about this. It's got to be this. It's just got to be this. Like I've coached a lot of women who have been in the middle of planning their weddings. And like, oh, it's got to be this. And it's got to be this. I'm like, why? Why can't the fucking flowers be black? Oh my God, you can't have black flowers. I'm like, isn't it about you and your husband, your boyfriend, your fiance, about changing vows and pledging your life and sickness and health? Who fucking cares? The flowers and all that other shit, nobody's going to really remember it. They're going to remember the beautiful ceremony that you had. And more importantly, you're going to have to rely on that experience, that joining, that unification when you go through those tough times. It's not going to fucking matter what your colors are. And so when you ask yourself, like, okay, what would it be like if I wasn't focusing on perfection? What would it be like if I got curious and I got playful with doing things imperfectly, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. That's bullshit. You know, the people that wait for things to be perfect or obsess about perfection are disappointed. And disappointment is a word that I use very sparingly. Like what I tell a coaching client, if I say something, I'm disappointed, that's a big thing, because when you hear that disappointment, that takes you down a notch, right? It reminds you of being a kid, being disappointed. Oh, I wanted to get a good grade and impress my teacher. Oh, I wanted to be so good at volleyball. Oh, I want to be disappointment. So what we do is we have failed to take action because we don't want to experience that disappointment. So we say, oh, everything's got to be perfect, right? Oh, I'm just a perfectionist. No, you're not. You're full of shit. You need to stop that. In some respects, yes, that's great. Like when you're dealing with the customers and you want preciseness and things of that nature, engineering, of course, perfection and looking for the best possible is really what I'm looking at, because as long as you're giving it your best, your blood, sweat, and your tears, and at the end of the day, you can be proud of what it is that you're doing and the things that you're sacrificing and being consistent with. It doesn't have to be perfect, because you're going to make forward momentous progress, right? That imperfect action day after day will beat out any perfect planning. And I've got it all charted out and I've got a file full. I've seen so many people like get so meticulous about it. I'm like, but what action have you taken? Right? I've had people write scripts to podcasts and do all these things and scenes and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, yeah, but have you fucking just picked up your phone and done a video? No. Why? Oh, because I'm waiting. What I'm going to do is, here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this list. Like I'm going to use this master list, and then I'm going to put that in my calendar. Then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do the video. I'm like, okay, what happens if you don't like the video? What happens if you're not fucking jazzed up about this shit? I had a coaching client of mine get into cooking videos, and she wanted to do all that, but then she realized the editing process of like, fuck this, I'm not doing these things. It's a pain in the ass. And I'm like, yeah. So now you tried it because you took action. Now you can sit there and decide what it is that you really want to take action on. So here's another thing that I do with my coaching clients on this about being right and being perfect, because I know this for a fact. Like I say, tell me a time when you achieved something and in the process, that the outcome was perfect, but you got there anyway. Let me fucking read this again. Oh yeah, the process nor the outcome was perfect, but you got there anyway. So most of the things in life, and I'm saying this rhetorically, really, because most of the experiences in our life were not perfect. They were not planned out. They were stumbled through, and they were fumbled through, and they were surprises. And what we did was responded to the situation, and we got into action. We're like, okay, let me figure this out. What can we do? Okay, let's get resourceful, right? So that in those situations, instead of being right or perfect, sit there and look at it like, what am I doing to be resourceful? What are some things that I can do differently? I'm famous for that in business and in life. I'll sit there and I'm like, what about this? What about this? Have you tried that? Have you tried that? I've never thought about that, Chris. Right. Because you've got constraints on your thinking. You've got constraints. What would it be like? What would it be like? Tell me what it would be like if you didn't have constraints on your thinking anymore. I have a tattoo on my arm that says you're only limited by the parameters of your own mind. You're only limited. I can't scratch. You're only limited by the parameters of your own mind. So get excited. When we're kids, like, how do we learn to walk? It goes back to the simple shit. Did we fucking give up when we fell down? No, we got back up and 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 we kept going until we were told no enough. Right? You get told no and stop doing that and get realistic. And then we're like, oh, let me think about the things that I do and I say before I do them. Why? Maybe we're not looking for perfection outright, but we're looking for acceptance. We're looking for validation, right? I still know people, their dads are in their parents are in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, and they're still looking for that validation. I still want my dad to say they're proud of me. You're expecting the wrong shit. It's not realistic. I wanted my mom to be like all the other moms, and that was not a realistic imposition to put on her. That was not an expectation that I should have put on her and had in my brain, because that wasn't realistic. She was not going to be Mrs. Cunningham or the fucking mom down the street. That just wasn't her deal. And for me to have that assumption on her that she should be that person because that's what mothers are is a generalization and an assumption on my part, which again goes back to that disappointment word. So thinking about that, like just think about taking that imperfect action. There's a great book out there by Maria Forleo. It's called Everything is Figure Outable. Everything is figure outable. You can figure stuff out. And I wouldn't be here right now as a former 7th grade homeless dropout, that went through a bunch of stuff in my life, which will be out in my book. Don't even ask me about that. It's going to be out next year. Yeah, next year. So when I think about the stuff that I have gone through in my life, to be able to be sitting here in front of you guys doing a podcast for 6.5 years, I did another podcast for 6 years. I did another radio show for 5 years. So consistency and everything, it can't be perfect. It's a journey. It's a growth process. It's something I'm excited. How am I going to be in episode number 700? How am I going to be at episode number 1000? What type of guests am I going to continue to elevate and achieve and get on the show? I'm working on Bon Jovi's guitarist right now, Phil X. I'm working on him. I've got some other people that I am working on. I'm still working on Dave Grohl. I'm gonna fucking get that guy too. There's a whole other subject on that about music podcasts and things that I might be doing. But when you look at this, it really comes down to fear. What are you afraid of? Like ask yourself, like, what am I afraid of? I'm afraid of doing it and sucking at it. I'm afraid of doing it and it not being what I hoped it would be. Right? Think about some honest questions. Like I've seen a lot of people procrastinate and everything has to be perfect, because when I get down to the end of the day with them, and I do that's how I coach, is I ask questions when I get to the end of the day with them, and they're just like, I'm afraid that everything I built it up in my brain is not going to be like that. And I'm going to be disappointed. So if I think of it in terms of I'm working on it, right? I've got a 69 Charger downstairs I've been working on. The efforts, the output does not show that I'm working on it. So the realization is it still passionate for me? Like when we think about, we're going to talk about that here in just a second. So in other words, also looking at that fear is a way of, okay, how can I look at this as being exciting? Again, rewrite the story you're telling yourself. So instead of being afraid of the failure and afraid of all this other stuff, I'm excited about the journey. I'm excited about embarking on this quest to start a business or to change my career or to do a certification or whatever it might be for you in your life. Don't stay stuck. Don't stay stuck. Don't be miserable. Don't choose to live your life in scarcity. Don't choose to live your life in fear. It goes by so short. If I could get one thing through to you, man, I'm 56 years old. It's going by quick. And so you got to take every single day, take some action every single day, enjoy every single day, embrace the moments. Don't wait for something to then decide that you're going to be happy. Be happy in the journey. I can tell you this with certainty. The people I've coached in my life, millionaires, billionaires, actors and actresses, and all the successful people, all of them go back to say, man, I just heard it again yesterday in an interview with a musician. I missed the days when I got $100 playing a club and being on fire about what it is that I was doing and having no fear and not giving a shit what people thought. And now they've got all this success and all these followers and everything, and they're afraid and they're not being congruent. They're not being themselves anymore. Right? The journey is where it's at, because when you look back on your life, you're not going to be, oh man, I'm really glad I got that Ferrari and I'm really glad I got that. You're going to be like, you know what? I'm fucking glad I'm a badass motherfucker who gets shit done. I'm glad that I didn't sit back and hope, wish, and pray that somebody was going to come along and save me and make me happy. I'm so glad that I enjoyed getting fucking dirty and pushing myself and seeing what I'm made of. I'm so glad that I fucking ended this world going out as a fighter and a warrior as opposed to a pussy. And that's something you got to ask yourself when you're thinking about your legacy and thinking about how you want to be remembered. Whose approval do I need to be happy? You don't need anybody's approval. You just need to look at yourself in the mirror with a smile and a sense of love and say, hey, man, we're doing this. We're doing this. We've done a lot of shit in our life. We've accomplished a lot of stuff in our life, and there's nothing that's going to hold us back from anything that we do moving forward. Let me get on to these questions. I fucking get so passionate about it. So again, whose approval do you need? Because you don't need anybody's approval. You just need your approval at the end of the day, that you feel proud of yourself for what you're addressing, what you're becoming responsible for, and what you're fucking taking action on, right? Do you feel the theme in what I'm saying here? It should be punching you in the face right now. I'm trying to really impact a lot of people. It's the middle part of the year. People are telling me, Chris, I didn't keep my promises to myself again. I said I was going to do this and I'm not doing this. And I keep getting back into the same cycles of insanity. Yeah. And I'm not coaching you. So that's number one. My coaching clients, I even have a group coaching program for you guys out there that's super, super affordable. It's $50 a month. It's amazing. Like there's really no excuses for a lot of people who watch and listen to this, who have been frustrated with their life, who haven't invested $50 to be able to do this. If you can't invest $50 to better yourself and to have accountability in your life, then you got to ask yourself, how bad do you want it? We're going to be talking about it here in a second. So here's question number 3, so I can just shut up. I'm just saying, if you need help, I'm here. What if I don't feel fulfilled, even though I'm successful in my career and everything else? And that was, again, another common theme. Chris, I feel like I am compromising. I feel like I'm settling. How do I not settle? How do I feel? All these different like nuances. So again, what if I addressed it this way? What if I don't feel unfulfilled, and even though I'm successful in my career? And so I will immediately tell you a story and a phrase. And let me know, I know my LinkedIn people are going to feel this. Are you comfortably miserable? Comfortably miserable. Are you just good enough? Oh, I'm good enough. Yeah, I'm good. I'm okay. Right. I'm fine. Right. Describe to me what fine is. What's fine? Right. I ask people, like, tell me what's fine. Well, fine's okay. It's like, okay. When did it become acceptable to be fine? I'm like, isn't there great and excellent and fucking off the hook? And oh my God. Well, yeah, I just don't think that's realistic. Like, okay, why don't you think that's realistic? When did your dreams get dashed that you don't have hopes of doing things that are beyond achievable? Because when we were all kids, we did. We had those hopeless, boundless opportunities that we thought we could fucking do all these things. Right? I could become an astronaut. I could become a fireman. I could become a race car driver. And often people do. And those people wanted it bad enough. Right? The people who got it and the people who don't. Difference is the leverage they put in their life and the sacrifices they made in order to get it. And oftentimes that's, I think, a lot of predetermined factors. So you got to ask yourself, am I chasing the right shit? Right? If you don't feel fulfilled in your life, have you been doing that for somebody else? Because the biggest regret in the world, from the 5 Regrets of the Dying, which is an amazing book, The biggest regret in the world is that people did what they thought they were told to do as opposed to what they wanted to do. My dad wanted me to become a plumber. He wanted me to get into the family business. My family has always been in finance or doctors or lawyers, blah, blah, blah. We always have to Ivy League school. We have to do this. We have to do this. I'm like, you don't have to do shit, right? Whose life are you living? Your dad's, your mom's? Well, they're paying for it. Like, okay, well, fucking pay for it yourself. Well, I can't afford it. That's scarcity thinking. That's limited thinking. How did I go to a fucking community college and work 2 jobs and go to the gym and become married at 19 years old, right? I figured it out. I busted my ass. I wanted it bad enough. I went to school for 12 years. I was a 7th grade homeless dropout. I went to school for 12 fucking years. I did accelerated courses, 8-week courses in 18-week courses into 8 and 9 weeks. And I pushed myself and read fucking huge amounts of books and did nothing else besides go to school and take care of my body and my mind and work in my job. And I had a little bit of fun, you know? So what are you going to do? But even if you're not successful in life, if you're, you know, like, ask yourself, am I fulfilled? Am I just settling? Am I just doing what's certain, right? Oftentimes in life, we want what's certain. We go to what's safe and what's comfortable and predictable. Like, I know I can react to that. I know that's within my zone, right? Okay. When have you grown the most? When you've been uncomfortable, when you've been pushed, right? You think about that. I look at my son right now. He's 8 years old. He hasn't been pushed a lot. I'm fearful of how that's going to happen, how that's going to play out later years, him not experiencing a lot of the turmoil that I did. And honestly, I'm thankful for that turmoil. As much as I wouldn't want to experience it again, I look at it now in terms of my son. I'm like, he doesn't have any of that. He doesn't have that iron that's going to help him become the man that I had to become out of that choice. So it has to come from different ways. And you may have been given everything in your life and you may not still be happy. I find a lot of people in that. Well, I did it for the money. I thought if I got famous, if I thought I got a bunch of cars, if I thought I fit in, if I thought I got the facelift, if I thought I, you know, joined the Desperate Housewives of Orange County, I would be happy. Right. So you got to really look at it in terms of anything external is not going to bring you internal happiness. So when you look out in your life, of course, you can have appreciation and gratitude and like, oh my God, I'm glad I got that big screen TV. I'm glad I got that full size keyboard. I'm glad I got this beautiful mixer. I'm glad I've got this, you know, I just recently invested in my studio a little bit. I'm gonna give you guys a studio tour. I never really do that. Just got myself a nice wide curved monitor. I just got a brand new studio cam. So we're going to be upgrading the studio. You know, you got to have stuff that you're looking forward to. But ultimately, if you're not happy in your situation, you got to start doing some different shit. You got to start hanging around some different people. And you got to sit there and say, you know, if I'm the smartest person in the room, what would it be like if I got around different people? And I could tell you this with certainty. When I've had coaches and masterminds and mentors and paid for certification programs and things of that nature, the level of output and the level of things that I achieve in my life goes up exponentially. Because you start holding yourself to a higher standard. And you got to ask yourself, if you're not fulfilled in your life, if you're not happy, like what standard are you holding yourself to? Are you standard? Is your standard mediocrity? Right? You know, think about that. Is your standard mediocrity? Because when did you deserve mediocre treatment? When did you deserve mediocre relationships? When did you deserve mediocre love? I mean, you got to say, you know what? I don't deserve that. Okay. So if you're getting that mediocre shit from somebody, then you got to make some tough decisions. You got to make some tough decisions and say, hey, listen, you know what? I've been a shitty boyfriend. I've been a shitty wife. I need to be honest with you. I need to be really honest with you. And this is going to hurt. Again, like I said before, if you're just coming into the show right now, watching the broadcast, go back and listen to this because it's really important stuff. You got to sit down and have tough conversations with people. Otherwise, you got to sit there and say, you know what? I deserve the results that I continue to allow in my life. I allow this. I allow the Julies in my life to be toxic vampires. Like, when does that stop? And so you can ask yourself this question, like, where do I feel my breaking point is? And I'll give you an example. Like for me, it's my pain right now. My back pain has been off the hook the last month. It's been worse than it's ever been in a while. And so I had to ask myself tonight, like, okay, I need to like sit down and write out. I need to literally write out what my breaking point is. What are the factors that have to happen for me to decide that I'm going to go get surgery? Because the distance between me and surgery is everything that I'm going to continue to do to make my back better, whether it's Epsom salt baths and massage and anti-inflammatory diet and all these different things, everything that I'm doing. I need to figure out what my breaking point is and say, okay, when I get to that point, then I got to make that decision. So when you're in your relationship and you're in your job, what's that breaking point? Would they lie to you? right? If they cut your job out from underneath your feet, which happened to me, what is your breaking point? When are you going to had enough? Like Chris, people tell me like, Chris, I've reached my breaking point. I'm like, don't you wish you would have had your breaking point a little bit sooner so you could have been proactive instead of reactive? And people say yes. I'm like, what are the 3 signs that you ignored? And inevitably, when I'm talking to people after the fact, I'm like, what are the signs that you ignored? Even health related. Oh, what are the signs you ignored about your cancer? Well, these 3 things. Okay, so you had warning signs, but you chose to ignore them, right? You can't be a hypochondriac about things, right? But you got to be knowledgeable and sit there and say, you know what, this has been bugging me, right? I just had an upper endoscopy and a lower endoscopy. So I had cameras in both ends. My swallowing has been a little bit weird lately, and when I digest my food, it feels like something is like pushing back. So they went in there and they said, yeah, your esophagus and your stomach is inflamed, so I have to take this medication I haven't taken yet. But I didn't ignore it, and so I had the colonoscopy done, I had the endoscopy done. He says, no, everything's fine. So you got to be proactive about stuff. You got to sit there and you got to ask yourself again, what is it you're going to do different? So if you're not successful, if you're not feeling fulfilled, start doing some different shit. Get excited about something. Ask yourself, what would it be like if I didn't do this anymore? Like for me, every once in a while, just to be honest with you guys, I've been doing the show for 6 years. I feel like I've said already what I need to say. And so part of me is like, okay, maybe I want to stop doing the raw and unscripted show and do something else, do something with music. And so instead, I have to redirect my thoughts and sit there and say, okay, what really inspires me about this? What can I do differently with the show that will get me more excited about coming and doing it? And so there's little things that I've been doing. I've been doing the men's mental health panels. I've been doing stuff. I got some exciting guests coming up for you guys. So I'm doing different stuff and I'm telling myself a different story. Do you feel me? Do you feel me out there? Tim Gillette in the house. What's up, brother? Appreciate you. SpaghettiOs. I just had a cold can of SpaghettiOs yesterday, just in honor of you, dude. Tim posted some SpaghettiOs, and that was so funny because I haven't had SpaghettiOs in forever. And then I went camping a couple months ago, and I got canned SpaghettiOs, and I ate them right out of the can, just like I was a little kid, because that's what I had to feed myself for dinner when I was 6 years old. Truth. So good to see you, beautiful people. What Susan's here. Susan says, Jacqueline Rose, I have lost myself, so I have decided who I wanted to be and working towards that. Yes, right? Who do I want to be? Who do I want to be remembered for? Right? If I died tomorrow, what person do I need to be today? What person do I need to be right now? Right? Am I being the person right now that I want to be, that I'm happy about? And I've talked to a lot of people recently and they're not happy with who they're being. Like, oh, I'm being short. I'm being pissed off and I'm being this and I'm being that. I'm like, are you going for walks? Are you drinking your water? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you eating right? Are you communicating in your relationship? No. And I'm like, okay, so if you had a stroke tomorrow and couldn't feel the left side of your body for the rest of your life, would you look back and think, oh my God, I'm so glad I was stressed out and didn't say shit to anybody? Why don't you think about that for a second, right? Because regrets suck. Oh, there were so many signs now that I look at it. Like you looked at it then, but you were just hoping that the signs were going to go away, right? And then you just distract yourself. I'm so busy with work. I'm so busy with this. I have to do all these different things. Again, what story are you telling yourself? Because I have proven without a doubt, for the most part, when my clients say they're too busy or they don't have time, it's because, again, that self-created chaos in their life to give them that excuse. Oh, yeah, you got to do your family's laundry. The fuck you do? Guess what? If you died tomorrow, I'd assure you that your daughter would not show up to school stinking and hungry. I can assure you. Somebody would figure something the fuck out and the clothes would get clean. So what is it you need to do? How do you need to accept responsibility? What do you need to communicate in order for your family to do the laundry, to help you do the laundry? And maybe you just fucking stop doing it. Or here's what you do. You only put it in and out of the fucking washing tub, but everybody else takes it up and down the stairs. Everybody else puts it away. Whatever it is, get some people to help you out, right? You got to ask. Here is another question for you guys. I'm trying to get all these questions in here. And again, thank you guys for the questions. I love these shows. I love these. It's and it allows me to think on my feet also. So number 4, here's another one that was very positive in terms of how many submissions I got. Why do I procrastinate when I know what to do? I mean, I think we kind of talked about this tonight already, right? Why do I procrastinate when I know what I need to do? I have so many people, again, recently telling me like, Chris, I have no excuse. Like, I know I just need to eat better. I know I shouldn't buy the shit at the grocery store in the first place. I know that I need to, but I don't. And it's because you don't want it bad enough. I'm the no excuses coach, guys, with love. And I have to ask myself this. I have I think 13 guitars around my house. I have these two right here that are fucking awesome. And I don't play them there very much. I have an amp right in front of me. I have a 150, 200 watt amp. I don't know what it is. It's a big PV amp right there. I don't plug in. I haven't. I'm actually going to because I started thinking about it. And I'm like, okay, I have all these guitars and I can't play one full song. So it's like, I don't want it bad enough. Like when people say, Chris, you should have been a musician. You are a fucking rock star. Why didn't you become a musician? I'm like, I didn't want it bad enough. I took singing lessons. I've taken guitar lessons. I took piano lessons. I've written songs. I've tried out for bands. I've done all sorts of different things, but I did not go that extra step because I didn't want it bad enough. And maybe sometimes we don't want things bad enough right now. Who knows? Maybe next year I put out a fucking album of cover songs because I wanted it bad enough. And I decided, you know what? That thing you said you were going to do in your 30s, where you said you were going to take an album and record songs that really make a difference in your life and made a difference in your life. And you want to do that just as a way of honoring those songs. I can still do that. Maybe I didn't do it in my 30s, 40s, and 50s. Maybe I do it in my 60s. Maybe I just fucking all of a sudden get serious about it. But again, if you're serious about something, you will invest in it. And again, you guys are always going to get the straight deal from me. My wife pays for training. She has paid for a workout trainer for years, and it bugs the shit out of me because she hasn't changed much. She's staying consistent. But the thing is, because she pays it, she shows up. And she does other things. I'm not razzing her. She's fucking lost a body person. She's lost like 150 pounds or something like that. Crazy. But she pays for a trainer, and it bugs the shit out of me. But that's her accountability. She goes, I'm not going to let that trainer down. I'm going to tell him I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there, whether I'm feeling like it or not, because that's what I do. And so I know people in my life that have hired me as a coach, and they've hired me for 6 months. They've hired me for 12 months. They keep me on a retainer. They want to meet with me every 2 months. They want to meet with me once a quarter. Because once you start investing in that, once you start to have the results, and once you start having the people that are holding you accountable in your life, and you start making that progress, you realize that it's not an expense and that you are worth it. I met Tim Gillette by joining a Rockstar Mastermind for $5,000 that I didn't think I could afford. And the way I did it is I said, Chris, if you can't spend $5,000 and make $5,001 back doing what it is that you love to do, then you have no fucking business doing it. And that is the truth. I sat there and I told myself, as I was looking at the form, the same form you filled out, Tim, you might've already been in it, I'm not sure. But I sat there and said, Chris, if you can't make $1 extra back from this, you have no fucking business being a coach or a podcaster or a professional speaker, or doing business seminars and all that other shit that I've done. And so I decided that I wanted it bad enough. And then I got in a room of people that held me to a higher standard and said, Chris, you're not the suit and tie speaker. You're the kick-ass guy. You're the no excuses dude. You're the rocker bandana man. You're the guy that's going to say it how it is. Right? When you have people in the room that are telling you and suggesting to you to go outside of your comfort zone and to own who you are and take those risks and be present in the moment, it's amazing what happens in your life. And it's not perfect. In some respects, I had Les Brown. I mean, tell you something that's fucking on the different. Les Brown, the famous motivational speaker, I had him tell me to my face that, Chris, I'll put you on stages, but I can't do this whole rocker kick-ass thing. He goes, you put a suit and tie back on. He goes, I'll put you on stages because you're an amazing speaker, because I'm not going to do the swearing and I'm not going to do the whole get up. And he told me that to my face. And I said, Les, I love you, but I got to be me. And sometimes I look back at that conversation. I'm like, was that the smartest thing to do? But yeah, it was. It actually was, because it was a defining moment in my life where I sat there and I committed. Right? When have you committed? Are you committing right now? Are you dabbling? I see so many people are dabbling. Like, oh man, those fucking people are rocking and rolling. They jumped and they're flying. Right? You ain't jumping and you ain't flying. It's because you're sitting there looking at everybody else, and you might be comparing yourself to everybody else. And you got, well, they've got this and they've got that, and they're into this and they're that, and blah, 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 blah. They got resourceful, or maybe they had resources that were given to them, and maybe that's going to work out in their favor. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's the people that are going to pull themselves up by the bootstraps and get serious about what the priority is, not the priorities. Like, what's the priority in your life? And I've had to take a big look at that in my life. And you guys could go back and listen to the episodes this year. There's been a couple of very vulnerable episodes where I've taken a look and like, okay, what does retirement look like? What does it look like if I'm no longer known as the No Excuses Coach? What if I no longer do a podcast and don't show up what happens if I just fade away and just start doing different shit? Like I did with my career. I had an amazing career, 30 plus years in leadership, and I have a master's degree and did all that stuff. And what if I just didn't make a spreadsheet anymore? What if I didn't not boss people around? What if I didn't lead people around? That sounded bad. What if I didn't, do all that shit anymore? What if I wasn't known as that person anymore? That's scary sometimes. And I could tell you that was me going through that identity awareness, if you will, was really good for me. It was really fucking hard, right? To go from overnight having all these responsibilities and being needed. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, who am I now? What do I do now? So when you think about this overall question tonight that we've been talking about, why do I procrastinate when I know what to do? I mean, literally, you have a phone, you have a computer, you have chat, you have YouTube, you have Google, you have the answers there. So if you're bitching about your relationship, you're bitching about your health, or you're not happy, again, I can't emphasize this enough. It's you that's got to fucking start and not only looking for the answers, but just taking that imperfect action and fucking doing it and committing to it and saying, you know what? Yeah, it's going to suck. I'm going through some stuff right now, aside from the pain stuff, that I will tell you, I'll give you a fucking example right there. I have a sticky note that just says, just not today. Right? Those of you guys listening on the podcast, which is where most of the people are, it says just not today. So maybe you just don't do something for today and you get through today and you enjoy today. And like, oh, you know what? I'm not doing that today, but I can do something else today. And you start putting enough of those todays together, and then you start feeling different. You start going, hey, that thing that I said I wasn't doing today? Guess what? It's been long enough where I haven't done it where I don't miss it. Right? I've quit drinking, smoking, drugs, all sorts of different things in my life. Right? When you're done, you're done. When you're done with your excuses, you're done. When you're done being, being a victim, you're just done. And nobody can change that for you. So if you're not in that spot right now, you need to ask yourself different questions. You need to reach out to me. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to offer you guys, because I've been talking about coaching and all this other stuff. If you've never had a coaching session with me and you've listened this long, again, listening on the audio podcast, reach out to me, info@noexcusescoach.com, any one of my social media handles @Christopher Rausch, social media on TikTok, No Excuses Coach, #NoExcuse. You can find me. You can find me and say, hey, I heard episode number 328 and you offered a coaching session at the end if I've never had one before. Right? Because I've had people like, I want a coaching session. I'm like, yeah, I've already given you one 3 years ago and you didn't take any fucking action back then. I could tell you the issues that you told me at that time that are still the ones you just told me right now because you forgot that you told me them. And I have people like that. I'm like, Chris, can I have it? No, you're still doing the same shit. And I know you're still doing the same shit. I know you are. But as long as you're aware of it and you're taking action on the same shit, right? You got to do that. I had so many more questions. I apologize, guys. Questions about imposter syndrome. Oh, let me answer these two questions also. Because I forgot to mention this. Again, I'm not mentioning names tonight because I don't know if people wanted me to mention names, but somebody asked me, how do you stay positive in an ever-increasing negative world? Again, I'm going to tell you this: gratitude. I'm going to give you long answers tonight. I'm going to give you short answers tonight. That one, I wanted to keep it a short answer. How do you stay positive in an ever-increasing negative world? Gratitude. What are you focusing? Are you focusing on what you have or what you're missing? Are you focusing on what's wrong or what's right? Right? As much as there is wrong out in the world, and you can follow the news and social media about that, if you go in and type positive news today, you're going to find a shitload of it. But how many fucking people are going to go out there and read the positive news? They're not, because everybody lives in the drama world. And did you hear about this? And did you hear about this and this bullshit? And let me spread this fucking lie. Don't put yourself into that. So in an ever-increasing negative world, my world's positive, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, yeah, there are negative circumstances and frustrating and Gaza and everything else. I mean, trust me, I don't have my fucking head in the sand, but my world is not negative. When I go out in the world, I say hi to people and I say good morning. And I really try to catch myself when I'm being shitty. Like, is this the example I want to set right now? Because I hold myself to a higher standard. We didn't even talk about values tonight. Here's another question I want to make sure I got to again. I apologize. I was going to put these up at the top. Talk about growth and healing as big leaps. Was there a time when doing less actually moved you further than doing more? Yes. And I wanted to answer this question because right now I'm doing less. I used to read books. I would listen to books, read books, and listen to podcasts and YouTube videos every single week. Like, I was a thirst of information. I have so many books I have not cracked open. I have a couple of books that I really wanted to read that I bought that I was excited about. I haven't opened. So I'm doing way less now. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm experimenting with how would it feel like not to be the fucking go-getter? How would it be like not to have all, and how would it like to be like to do some projects and to just enjoy like upgrading my studio a little bit and getting a monitor and getting a new camera and figuring out, okay, how can I improve the quality and how can I do this and setting up my game room and getting some projects done in the garage and, just doing shit and being happy and enjoying my life because I've worked hard for it and you've worked hard for it. So How do you doing less than is more? Yeah, again, going back to what we talked about at the beginning of the broadcast in the tolerations, like so oftentimes we're overwhelmed that we don't take a step back. We don't enjoy life. I was famous for that until I stopped, until I had the awareness to like say, Chris, you can sit down. The world's not going to fucking stop. You're not going to lose everything if you give yourself a break. You can give yourself a break and you can enjoy that. So oftentimes when you're doing way too much and you're not getting the results you need, it's about looking at what can I give up? What can I let go of, right? It's not about what else can I do. Sometimes it's about what can I no longer do. Again, like toleration. I promise you guys, for those of you who do that, you will send me a message and you will say, Chris, oh my God, that was the biggest thing that fucking changed my life. That and the writing the eulogy is a big thing, right? If you haven't done your eulogy, I talk about this ad nauseum on the show, like do your eulogy and realize who you want to be remembered for. And every single day, like, am I being remembered for that person? Has Chris done that? I go to sleep tonight and I go, yeah, I made people laugh today when I was dropping my kid off at his day camp. I made people think today. I impacted people. I did a TikTok video. I did a YouTube video. I had people, Instagram. So I'm feeling good about who I am and what I'm doing. So you got to think about that. And then there was this other question that was completely different. So I'm going to answer this one too, because I want to make sure that, because I know these people are watching and listening. There's an interesting one. How is AI reshaping human creativity, and is it? Okay. Again, the question, how is AI reshaping human creativity, and is it? This is what I'll tell you guys on AI. And I thought about this question for a second. There are certain people out there that are scared to death of it and think it's going to take over the world. I think that I'm one of those people. I'm deathly afraid of what it's going to do and how different the world's going to be. And I'm also the guy that is very excited about it. Right? I use ChatGPT in podcast promo creations. I'll write a promo and then I'll say, Chat, how can we make this more eye-catching? How can we make this more sarcastic? Give me some titles for this. So if I'm in a funk, I can use AI. I can use technology to help me think differently, help me think more creatively. Fuck, I don't know. I'm tired. So it's about how we use the tools. So I can use ChatGPT to be creative. I can use different apps to be creative. I can do that. So is it reshaping human creativity? Absolutely. Absolutely. My son is going to start going to a school. We just went to the open house today, science and technology school. He's 8 years old. He's going to be seeing, they have a 3D printer on site at this elementary school. And so I'm so excited about the things and the technologies he's going to use. So I will tell you this, and you can mark my words. We can go back and watch this episode in 3 years, right? Maybe I'll even do that. Sometimes I go into my calendar 3 years and I'll remind myself to go back and check on something I said just to see what happens. And you could do that. You just go into your calendar and just go 3 years ahead and go, hey, go back and check that podcast number 328 and see if what I said at the end is true. And it's pretty fun to do. So it's coming. I just saw driverless cars in Los Angeles. We don't have them here in Riverside, which is another big metropolitan city outside of Los Angeles. But we saw, I can't remember what they're called, the driverless cars. Saw them out there. I'm like, holy shit. And people are trusting them, and it's not going away. So if you are an Uber driver, if you are a DoorDash, whatever you do right now that you're listening to this, take a fucking look, because AI is coming. So you need to be on the front end. Here's going to be the situation. There's going to be, I see people who are pivoting right now. I've got a friend of mine that had a business for 7 years. He is now creating workshops for how AI can help your business. So he pivoted, man. Now he's the expert on how AI can improve your business. People are using AI all the time. How can you automate something in your AI? People are doing that. So there's going to be the people that harness the technology, and they're going to be people that's scared of it and freeze with it. And those people will be hungry and homeless, and the other people will be living large. It's just like COVID. I know people that are professional speakers that froze and did shit and didn't do anything and had to fucking get a job. And I know people that sat there and said, oh, I can create Zooms and I can do things differently. So how are you going to do all of this differently? And here's a question to ask yourself. Here's the nugget that you get at the end of the conversation. What would you be doing differently if you believed you deserved the success? Let me say that again. What would you be doing differently if you believed you deserved the success? Because I can tell you this. If you believe you deserve it in your heart of hearts, and you're willing to make the sacrifices and the commitments, to keep the promises to yourself, then there is nothing you can't do. Lose weight, get relationships, get a job, whatever it might be. Do you want it bad enough? I love you guys. We'll be back here next Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Put it on your calendar. Join me every single week. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Jacqueline Rose in the house. She says, I inspire people by what I do every day. If she can do it, so can I. And they can keep going too. Yes, it is. It's all about being unstoppable, right? Right. I do a shitty job of selling them, but I've got these wristbands. Actually, Jacqueline Rose has got them. So I love you guys. Go take action. See you here next time on the Raw and Unscripted show. Go be beautiful.